Thank you, and good morning from my behalf as well, and welcome to sunny and hot and quite humid Helsinki. As Arno mentioned, I think we are in the midst of a heat wave of Finnish standards, and this is certainly a very untypical weather that we are seeing here. But this is the reality where we live today, I would say. More and more of this untypical weather phenomenon are taking place, and as mentioned before, this is causing more and more severe natural disasters. Before I really jump into my presentation, just a quick word. My name is Mirka Vahtera. I lead our sales efforts and our strategic accounts at ICEYE. Been working with the insurance industry all my life so far. I wanted to really set the scene for the first session and talk about what role can emerging technologies like satellite technology have in the face of climate insurance, and how can insurers and governments be adapting this new technology in order to be addressing the protection gaps that we've been talking about, and also ensuring that we have something and in terms of insurance to offer in the future. But ICEYE, what is ICEYE and what do we offer for the insurance industry? So we are a Finnish space technology company, fully vertically integrated, meaning that we actually build our own satellites here in Helsinki and also in United States. We operate the largest synthetic aperture radar constellation on Earth. And we take all of these imaging power, these imaging capabilities that we have, and we've been starting to build actionable data solution on NatCat events and monitoring NatCat events. Currently, we have launched over 35 satellites in orbit, and we are a rapidly growing company. Our vision on the solutions line of business is to be a one-stop shop for NatCat perils and NatCat monitoring and providing actionable data for the insurance. We started off with flood being one of the costliest, one of the increasing perils on Earth. And we are building on top of that. But I wanted to walk you through a little bit of our flood solution and explain how we are exactly doing what we're doing. And then I have a couple of examples on the use cases and applications, how our insurance are using this. Everything starts, obviously, by understanding and forecasting where the flooding is going to take place. So we have built an in-house tool, a process to forecast 4 days ahead the likelihood of flooding in a very granular 1K per 1K basis. We have a whole staff of in-house meteorologists just looking into the data and forecasting where the flooding is taking place. Once we know, and I can tell you we're getting pretty damn good at it, we know where it's going to flood. We task our satellites to capture the whole lifespan of a flood event. And you can imagine flooding events. These are evolving multi-day events taking place globally. So we aim to capture that whole flood event. Once we have observed flooding from our SAR images, so you can imagine the SAR imaging being the foundation of our analysis process, we start adding a lot of other data points. We use river gauges, digital elevation models, any other open source data, social media. We use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever people are posting pictures on floods, we integrate that into our analysis. And the end result is 24 hours after the high water or the flood peak, we deliver our full flood extent and flood depth raster. So clients can immediately start assessing what the impact of the flooding event has been on their portfolio. Next, I wanted to walk you through a couple of real-life examples across the globe of the real flooding events that have taken place, and just to discuss and tell you a little bit how our customers are then leveraging our data in their day-to-day processes. So what we're looking here is our forecast for the Emilia-Romagna flood that happened roughly a year ago. I think this is a 2-day ahead forecast where we can see very clearly that there's been an extreme flooding warning or flooding likelihood in the Po Valley area. We then task our satellites. So the green blocks that you're looking there is the satellite frames, the imagery that we required for that event. And it was correlating nicely with our predictions. We gathered over 35 star images and a bunch of hundreds of other auxiliary data points. What ended up, we delivered our flood extent and depth data, which you can sort of see there, the different coloring shades of blue, meaning the deeper the water when it's darker. And how our customers are using this. Obviously, it starts already with that warning element. We've been talking about mitigation, protection. So our customers are using our data and internally communicating, but also externally towards their customers to warn and take action. Then, during the event, right after the event, insurance can now have a situational awareness to understand where the flooding is actually taking place. Because for this far, we've been going blind. You don't really know exactly which of your insured properties have been affected. So our customers are using this for streamline their claims processes, to triage where to prioritize, where to send the loss adjusters, and so forth. And obviously then after the event, or days after the event, the whole understanding of the economical impact to the portfolio, understanding what has been the size of the loss, that you can take your reserving action and your financial action as an insurer. In a longer term, obviously, there is a huge value to start fine-tuning those NatCat models, for example, with the observed data sets, and also take historical data that we have on observed flooding into account in your underwriting decisions. Then, this was shown earlier, but we had a little bit of a different view on the latest Brazilian event. Massive event, as you know, 5.8 million people were affected, I think. We ended up mapping 30,000 square kilometers of flooding. You can imagine we have a lot of satellite data, but also a lot of other data to go through. We shared our data with the public good community, with intelligence, with the civil response. And I think this just really highlights what we've been talking about here as well earlier, the public-private collaboration in a time of a crisis. And something to maybe highlight also, especially our Brazil and developing countries, is that it's normally flooding risk is based on models. And unlike models, our data we can observe anywhere on Earth. Modeling data is very unlimited and sometimes unavailable in countries such as Brazil. So it's not only about that capturing impact, capturing event capability, it's also our data can allow and enable financial payout, financial relief in a form of parametric payout or index-based payout. And these solutions or new insurance techniques are also being suggested as a protection gap funding element in Europe too. And I want to close up with a very local example, a totally different scale, but it does show that it sometimes do flood in Finland too. So a couple of weeks back, during the springtime, there was a snow melt or snow jam flooding over in Ostrobotnia and Yli Vieska. So wanted to wrap it up that the capabilities are really there. The new technology is really there to globally observe flooding events and other NatCats as well. And last thing, maybe just to summarize from my end, I really think that we need to partner up as an ecosystem of reinsurers, carriers, partners, brokers, to really tackle this protection gap and ensure that we have insurance availability in the future as well. Thank you.